CV to have a book against your name.
Yeah. All right. So should we begin the session for today?
Yes. Yes.
Namaste, everyone. Namaste, Anupama ma'am. It's my absolute pleasure and delight to have you join us today to talk to our children as a part of the Books and Beyond Week. I'd like to tell you that Books and Beyond was an initiative where we thought we should get children more into the groove of reading books so that they were able to experience the world vicariously. They were able to travel beyond the confines of their homes through the vision of the authors. And we've done that, and therefore we wanted that as a part of the culmination for this event, we should have a real author come and talk to the children, talk about books, and take this forward. So thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this initiative, for agreeing to address our children. And I would now like to request Dia to take the morning forward.
Namaste to all. It is my great pleasure to introduce Miss Anupama to you all. Miss Anupama Jain is the author of When Padma Bunny Paula and Masala Mix. She has contributed to several short story collections. She is an educator, blogger, and social media influencer based in Gurgaon. She has contributed to several novels such as Chronicles of Urban Nomads, Crossed and Knotted, which was India's first composite novel, 2016 Limca Book of Record holder, When They Spoke, Mock, Stalk and Quarrel, all published by Readomania, When Women Speak Up, an ebook by Women's Web 2018. Miss Anupama is the founder and admin of the Senior School Moms Facebook group and blogs at akaacerbic.wordpress.com, which was listed in the Best Indian Blogs Directory 2018. In 2017 and 18, Miss Anupama won the Orange Flower Award for her humorous writing. She was also listed as one of the top 10 Indian women bloggers a feminist must follow by the Women's Web. She is currently penning her third book, a sequel to her debut. Miss Anupama's favorite genre to write is humor. We are glad to have you here at the Shriram Universal School, ma'am, and looking forward from hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dia, for this absolutely, generous introduction of me. Thank you, and Usha, for this wonderful opportunity where I could speak with such brilliant young minds. It's a learning experience for me too, to see so many aware children who are contributing, who are talking, and connect with so many wonderful teachers. Thank you, Usha. A very good morning to you all, rather good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon, Anupama ma'am. Welcome to the Shriram Universal School, Hyderabad, and it's going to be an honor to listen to you.
Shall I start, or any questions?
Please go ahead.
As Dia said, I am the author of When Padma Bunny Paula. So this is the book, the beautiful book, and also Masala Mix. Masala Mix is an ebook that came in the pandemic period, and I've been part of many anthologies, some physical, some ebooks, and it didn't happen overnight. It all began due to how we react to grief, how we decide that everybody is thrown a curveball, everybody gets a dash, or a good serving of destiny, but how you react to that destiny and what you decide to do with it made a difference. In my case, writing has been the second chance at life. If you ask me, Usha knows me now for many years. She would be pretty surprised that we wouldn't have expected that one day I would be sitting here and chatting this way as a writer or as an author. But that's life for you. I am a science student. I am a computer science graduate, and all through it's been signed. I have no sort of, background in writing, or, I have not studied English. But still, due to a set of circumstances, when life was at its lowest, I started writing these random Facebook posts. Um, I wrote about anything that caught my fancy, and that the likes that I got became a little bit of ego booster. And one thing led to the other. I started blogging simultaneously. I started writing short stories. As I wrote, I won a lot of awards for blogging as well as short stories. One of the short stories in a humor competition got picked up. That became the genesis of the novel. In fact, that short story has spawned two novels. The second is sitting at the editor's desk right now for a year, almost, because of the COVID. And that's life for you. And so everything, went about growing organically. There was no planned, thing that, okay, one day I will become an author. But what helped me all through was my father is an avid reader, and every nook and corner in my house as I was growing was packed with books. So we had to read books, we had to have good knowledge of language. So I guess that background was always there. So when I took off to writing, it kind of percolated into the growing curve. So I kept trying to participate in as many competitions as possible, grabbed whatever opportunities I came. And I guess the journey is still on. The best part of being a writer is you can write till the day you die. So that's a career that you don't give up anytime soon. So that, in a nutshell, has been my journey as an author. But all this is, it started in 2000. My first story got published in an anthology in 2014. So this is 20. So it's about 6 odd years, not more than that. That's my author's journey, as I can say. And books and beyond. Yeah. So as I say, this is a very comprehensive title. Comprehensive title given to this wonderful initiative, because any nook and corner, you want to travel, you pick a book on that, you're vicariously transported to that place. And I've heard many stories of, how people, especially in winters or winter breaks, they snuggle in their, warm comforters slash rajai slash kambal with a book, whichever genre it is, and then if it's an adventure, you are also undergoing the same adventure along with the protagonist, the ups and downs. So it's a great way to spend your holidays, great way to broaden your horizons, great way to enrich your self. And why is it beyond? Because is there our mind is just, our brain is just a muscle. As long as you, as much as just use it, exercise it, the longer and the wider it is going to spread. So when a Kindle can pack in so many books, why can't your brain? Yeah. And just as you imbibe something, you would also like to express something. That there comes the idea of your putting the feelings that you have in books. And this keyword success is there's a very famous saying that Rome wasn't built in a day. Everything the great marathon starts with a single step. So when you start reading books, obviously we're not going to read the thickest books immediately. We always read the smallest age appropriate books, and depending on our speed, we progress to the next level. And that's how the even success is built with a small step, but continuous effort. We cannot give it up in the middle. because first you got to paint a picture for yourself where you're going to be there in 5 years, and it's an everyday, little progress towards that end. Yeah. So books are, again, I feel, a great companion. They help you widen perspective. They also teach you what is, I mean, if you read non-fiction books, the self-help books. In fact, during the pandemic, some of the highest selling books have been the non-fiction books, self-help books, which taught people how to hang on, how to, you know, see life through other people's spectrum, other people's eyes, other people's lens. Then you understood that you're not alone in this journey. There are thousands like you who are undergoing the same challenges, who are undergoing the same situations, yet hanging on. So you are not alone. You are in the cosmos. There are many, many, many people like you. What makes one a good writer? The writer, if you're not a good reader, you cannot be even a moderate writer. That's the first step. Why do I say that it is imperative that you read? See, we may assume that we've written the greatest book of the universe. We may, but when you see that how others have used the same words or same context to express better, you understand that there are myriad ways of looking at the same thing. Okay. And I always advise everybody, if you want to write 500 words, you should be reading minimum 1,000 words. Why? Because to be a good writer, you need two things. One is content and second is communication. Content, everybody gets, let's say everybody gets the same idea, but the same idea can be expressed in a different way. As they say, Shakespeare and Mahabharata have finished off all the tales for us. We are just working on the same tales and the same expressions, same emotions in different ways. So what do? We build up at our own individual styles. How does that come? You read, you see that there are thousands of styles to express the same idea, and you choose one that is closest to your real self, and proceed in that by building up on your communication. The communication is something which is the way you express yourself to others. If you're a better communicator, you hold the audience in your spell. In your spell is a very strong word, but you put yourself in a better light. If you don't communicate well, you may be extremely talented, but if you don't communicate well, you cannot, bring out your real self others, and you may lose many, many opportunities, which could be the door to success. Because see, it's a very sliver of a chance. The great Ruskin Bond has already suggested that there are more writers per square inch than readers. That's a very, very harsh fact. So if you don't read others, when you write, who is going to read you? So it's a vicious cycle. So read, develop your vocabulary, learn how to express yourself better. I always tell people less is more. But there are people who might want to write very verbose, but this is an insta gen where the attention spans are very small, right? People don't have long time at disposal where they can read long-winded stuff. So you've got to get the pulse very fast. So learn to express yourself in short, succinct words, and again, that comes by reading. Yeah. At any point, ma'am, if there are any relevant questions, please do shoot some at my end so that I can answer as this thing.
Surely, I will definitely do that. There are 2-3 questions, but I'm going to hold on to those and come back to you.
Yeah. So I also am a mother to grown-up children, and they also write. but they write non-fiction pieces. So, but in my home, we have tried to inculcate the habit of reading. Uh, Again, because of the generational shift and the change, how times have changed, I find that my firstborn is far more a voracious reader than the second one. But the second one has taken more rights far more deeply than the first one. So again, it's just a change of, sign of changing times. What as mothers, there is a constant. The other day, I was doing a session with one of the reading groups, and what they were doing is they were trying to get the possible best books for each age group. They were trying to make it a small basket of 20 best books for children to read, or every school should have. That's the initiative. Now, the constant refrain or constant thing that we hear from complaint that we heard here is, my child doesn't read any longer. But is it just the fault of the child? The children will soak in, or will imbibe whatever is happening at the table, in their very homes. If parents read, children will automatically read. I think your school has a wonderful initiative, one of the branches where there is one day is declared as no gadgets day, and I am so fascinated by that, because that gives just put all those attention, so it's like a sponge. Your attention span is only that much, and this social media and this constant electronic buzzing keeps soaking away your attention. So that is a day when you can just sit, relax, read something, learn something. So we all need to do that at least few hours a day. Few hours if it is too strong, at least an hour a day. And read. It may sound like a repetition of a 4-letter word, but nothing in that. If you look at it that way, book is a 4-letter word, rice is a 4-letter word, roti is a 4-letter. But these are all the best things, the best 4-letter words that you can have in your life. Yeah. So a book is your best companion, especially in the times that we are leading. Okay, I've also been called a social media influencer. I approach this word with a lot of trepidation and a little consternation, because I feel it is a very scary word, and it's a very pompous word too, if I may say that. Please excuse my inhibitions around this word, but I suggest that we all are social influencers in our own way, because we all have our own small set or small circle of people who learn. We all learn from each other. It's nobody is a standalone person. We all end up learning from each other. We all soak in from each other. We all grow with the interacting with each other. So no man is stranded on an island, right? We are all social animals. So when you take this thing as seriously, when you chase the title rather than living up to it, it becomes dangerous. In whatever way, you guys, as you kids, are still too young to be on social media. I hope you are not on social media, because times are changing. But till class 8, you are not, hopefully, on social media. So it is too young to be there. And trust me, there's enough life left to, handle that aspect. The longer you stay away from it, the less toxic your life will be. So I'll tell you from experience. Sampada, my daughter, she did her class 12. She made a conscious decision to stay away from social media. So ever since his college has started, due to various positions that she holds in the college, she spends humongous amount of time on social media, and I see that kind of, sucks away at her gray cells. She tells me, I mean, these are in words, I feel that I'm dumbing down at times, because I am not effectively utilizing my those many hours, because all of us have only those many hours. Everybody has those 24 hours, right? We spend X hours sleeping, eating, reading, daily ablutions. But what makes a champion different from the other? So whenever, if you have your fingers in, let's say, 10 pies, each hour has to be associated with a routine. If you associate a routine to an hour, and each hour, when you do a particular task, at that moment, that task is the most important task on the face of the earth. There is nothing more important, nothing less, it's not any less demanding. Do not give any attention to any other. I mean, people say it is multitasking is great, but I beg to differ. You can multitask at different intervals, but when you're doing a job at that moment, that is the most important job at hand, and give it your 100%. Do not let anything, take away your attention, and that's the best path to success, I feel. That's why I say stay away from social media as long as possible. Be an influencer within your sphere of small circle of sphere, without aiming for kudos, or those wonderful epithets that come with being an influencer, because that kind of uh, digresses from the real task ahead, which is actually making a difference. You get so bogged down with the adjectives that get thrown, that you're constantly running to fill up to the adjectives, and you forget that the main task, or the main reason why you got the title, was actually making a difference. Then I was also asked to, this is one advice that I tell everybody when you are wanting to be a reader, writer. If you find it difficult, many people say, ma'am, books are so difficult. I don't have the energy. I don't want to read it. It's so boring. I can do so many things. A very constant, complaint that I hear. Then I tell them, okay, if you find that difficult, why don't you start with a newspaper? Newspaper has become less of a newspaper, more of a masala mix. Every a little bit of item is dressed up and served for your consumption. So when you read a newspaper, and every day there'll be one item, one piece of item, which is very strange, which has happened, something which defies logic, or which is not the way the usual humans behave. Lock it up, lock it up here, that, because that is going to, when you lock up that incident, tomorrow when you are asked to write some story, how do you make sure that you're different from the rest? You bring this incident to the fore and dress it up, change it. If the protagonist, something a man did to a woman, make it a woman did to a man, or a father did to daughter, daughter did to mother, a son to, just change the main actors in this thing, change the setting, change their ages, make it, everybody enjoys a little bit of humor. If you can, work on that humor, read a lot of, dress it up with a dash of humor. And if you like human stories, and if you want to, I get never, I never get tired of recommending his name. People must be thinking, why doesn't she talk more about other authors? But I feel for children, as far as humor goes, as far as setting goes, no one to beat R.K. Narayan. I mean, I don't know why he doesn't find the current set of children do not read so much of Arkinarayan, though those are part of the curriculum. We read. So how many times have we read Swami and his stories and Rajam, and most of us have undergone. I find that particular excerpt when he gives the Swami takes an exam, Tamil exam, and then he gets out very fast and he doesn't understand why are the friends writing so much. So most of us have been in such situations. So read the works of masters and learn the new words. Reading is a great way to inculcate fresh vocabulary. Nothing is more fascinating than to listen to a person whose vocabulary is so wonderful, rather than the usual pedestrian verbs that most of us throw at each other. Yeah. And keep your learning radar on always. I mean, it doesn't have to be conscious effort, but train yourself to look at from every sense of yours should be an antenna where you are taking the atmospherics and locking in, like you're going out to play. You see how each person walks or talks, or when you build a character, you can bring this thing that you've noticed about your friend or something, add a little quirk to the character that you want to write. And you can also watch your kitchen, how the kitchen is handled, or so your stage is your home, your surroundings, your immediate surroundings. So this is how you get to become a better writer, by reading, writing, editing. I can tell you how important editing is. Writing is half the job, editing is actually the 90%. So that's the reason when you need to go back to the books again to see what is so attractive. It's the way they have been tightened to remove all the unnecessary fluff. Yeah. So this what I had prepared, and this is what I wanted to share. And if there is anything else, please ask me so that I can share more.
Thank you, Anupama ma'am. Yes, I would like to begin by saying that Anupama ma'am is an inspiration for me. Both of us were next door neighbors, eventually became good friends. And after a point of time when Anupama ma'am shifted from my neighborhood, I suddenly discovered that she was writing furiously. And that suddenly it seemed as if all the world was reading her. And when I asked her how she was doing it, she said, "But that's what, no, you can also do it. Anyone can do it." And because of her, I started writing because she told me that I could do it. So she enabled me, she empowered me. And that's how I started writing. Yes, my writing is nowhere close to what she has been up to all these years. But the fact remains that if I thought that I could do something, it was because of the fact that Anupama ma'am was my neighbor and she influenced me. So I owe a lot to her in terms of gratitude. Really grateful to her for inspiring me. Right.
Thank you.
So from there, I would like to ask you. There are a few questions that have come on the chat box. So I would like to first take that. There's one question that has been asked by Rohan Reddy, and I think it has also been asked by Ishita Prashant. They both want to know that what are the books that you have written and what is it that you're writing currently?
Thank you for that question. I have written a book called When Padma Bani Pola. This is my actual claim to fame because it was listed as one of the 5 best books of fiction by readwriteinspire.com in 2018. I have also written the sequel to this, but thanks to COVID, it has been put on back burner. It's in its second draft also. So And I have brought out an ebook called Masala Mix. This is a short story collection. It looks at the myriad manifestations of love, whether it is fatherly love, motherly love, love between husband and wife, a sister's love for the brother. So there are different ways, we are surrounded by love. So these are the stories of every day. That's the second book, and I have been part of, I think, 12 anthologies, one of which is a Limca book record holder 2016 as India's first composite novel. That was a great thing. Composite novel is somebody provides you the seed story. What do I mean by the seed story? There's an initial story. Somebody takes a hook. The hook could be an incident, it could be a place, it could be a character, builds the next story, and then gives it to the other participants. So it goes on and on and on. So my story was bang in the middle, and 7 stories were spawned from my story. So yeah, that's as far as my writing goes. I have written, I think, about 700-800 blogs across platforms. I've brand blogged for about 15 brands. I also manage my own blogging platform, akkaesthetic.com. That also was featured as one of the current affairs read. Right now, at that time I suffered from verbal diarrhea, literally. So I was writing. Currently, I am doing something very interesting. I love flash fiction. I used to write a lot of flash fiction. So now I've gone back to participating in Mom's Press. Usha, please do this, because this is a very, very interesting one. There are 20 prompts for 20 days. You're supposed to write 20 stories. I came to know very recently. I hope to pack in all the 20 stories by the 26th of this month.
I shall definitely take that up. But can you explain to my children what is flash fiction?
Flash fiction is a prompt. See, flash fiction, as you say, is you have to write it in a flash, and the story happens in a flash. Everything is tiny. So there's typically flash fictions are only about 100 odd words. There is a prompt that is given. The prompt could be a theme, like it could be simply like an emotion, love, hate, anger, or it could be a picture, because picture can spawn 1,000 words, but here we have only 100 words. So 100 word story based on a picture, based on a theme, based on typically it's a picture. Yeah, so you are supposed to spin a story. What happens 99.9% of the times is everybody gets the same idea. Let's say I show a picture of a big tree and an arid land, broken earth on which a green tree is standing. So everybody will spin the same story about Mother Earth, nurturing, recycling. How we have been very selfish humans who have, made Mother Earth, dried up and all parched. But the green tree is the source of sustenance and nurturing. Do not do that. If you want to be a winner, do not go on the this usual path that everybody goes. A winner is always someone who usually thinks out of the box. Zara hatke idea you have to give. And this is where, in flash fiction, this is where the vocabulary comes. A 10 worded sentence can be put into one single word. You got to know one word, one popular saying, so that you can dress up your flash fiction better.
Thank you. One child has asked, do you write poetry?
I wrote poetry, but I write free verse, because I am not a trained, I don't hold a degree in English literature. I've not studied English. I haven't undergone any formal training. So mine is a free verse. which doesn't really fit in any parameters. But I love reading poetry. I love explaining poetry. So I read all sorts of famous works. That helps me to compress my ideas and express better.
Thank you. Ramanuj, I think that's the name of the child. He says that he has a story written, but he says that he doesn't have the courage to share it with others. Do you have any tips for him?
Oh, sweetie, this is the sweetest question. I can't tell you. Each time I write, I feel the same. Each time I write, I feel what rubbish I've written. If I put it up, I'm going to, get so many brickbats. People are going to, I have that, ache in my belly. But then I take I just get up and say, look, I've written for myself. Okay, if it finds resonance, if people like it, that's a blessing. That is an additional benefit. But what is the point of writing and keeping it to myself? Maybe there are thousands like me who feel the same. So if I can share it bravely out there, maybe I'll inspire someone else to do that. So I tell you, sweetie pie, don't get scared. Everybody feels the same. What you need to do is, I'm doing it, I'm giving it my best. This is an exercise for me to learn and put it out there. And trust me, the people, if God forbid there are even one or two who find fault with it, they're not your friends really. And their words do not count or should matter to you, because the friends will always have your back and they'll always tell you how to go forward. So I'm waiting to see it out there.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very encouraging. May I ask Shreya and Vedika to continue with the questioning? And in case they have missed out a question, I'll come back to you. Right? Over to you, Shreya and Vedika. Both are a part of our Ed board, and they have some questions, some queries for you.
Namaste, ma'am. I am Shreya, Chief Editor.
Namaste.
And my first question to you will be, characters in your stories inspired by people you meet in real life?
Yes, you won't believe how many stories I've written about my family. They say that I owe them royalties because my parents, my children, my husband, they're greatest source of entertainment and story material for me. I can't tell you. That's the reason I told you in the story, keep watching people around. Everybody has a particular quirk or something differentiating from the usual. Always lock them up here and bring them when you write the story. And nobody can take panga with a writer, because you just have to threaten them. I'm putting you in my next story. Be nice to me. So they're going to be good to you anyways. This is a great exercise to, be very, very popular socially. Can't take pangas with me. I'm putting you in my next story.
So, ma'am, I've heard that your favorite genre is humor. Why? Why not something else?
That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking this, Vedika. I think Usha has seen me. I was quite happily ambling about in life, okay? In the sense, I think I was a complaint box also for a long time. But then I realized I found fault with everything. But then I realized when tragedy hit, when you touch the absolute rock bottom, I was crying. I was crying bitterly. My father told, enough of crying, grow a back, start walking. I haven't cried ever since. And I feel if you cry, you generally cry alone. If you laugh, you attract 1,000 more people. And especially, there are a lot of people who write very emotional drama. There are very few people who can laugh at something. And if you laugh at something, the problem becomes very trivial. It doesn't feel that, it's a very scary problem that cannot be tackled. So I feel, and also because I can wordplay do wordplay very easily. That comes naturally to me. I can pun, so I use that. Everybody should, build on the natural advantage. So this is a natural advantage I feel I have. That's why I do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
My pleasure.
Ma'am, writing is not an easy profession. How do you drive yourself forward when you feel like giving up?
Shreya, this is such a relevant question. For writing is a very lonely profession. It's not a paying profession at all. You have to have a day job where you earn for your bread and butter. Writing is what an esoteric pleasure. So that you do it for your pleasure. It's not for sustenance. You're not going to do it for your work. But since there's so many writers per square inch, it is often a very scary proposition, because you're literally running to stand at the same spot. A little slip, you're out of sight, out of mind. So you got to bring out innovative ways of telling out a story. So what I am trying to do is, I try and attempt various formats of storytelling, so that I don't get bogged down, I don't get bored. I write sometimes flash fiction, sometimes an extempore, sometimes a blog. And I also started these days making video stories. I animate my face and I put it on my this thing. Then I spin a story by talking. So that, when you explore different ways of telling a same story, that kind of keeps the momentum going. And then you read, then you realize, maybe, I can tell the same story in a different way, in a different platform. That has kept the momentum going so far.
Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure.
So, ma'am, other than writing, what do you like to do with your free time?
As the favorite way of saying in North India, I cook myself. There is a buy that is taken away. So I cook all the meals of the day. I find it very calming. So I see a lot of cooking videos, Ranveer Brar, and I see Shekhar Gupta. These are the two videos I see every day. Shekhar Gupta kind of gives you the, it's a political video. It gives you the lowdown of the day. And Ranveer Brar gives you the recipes. Those are the two things that I do. Then I teach young kids. That takes some time. And I net binge. I'm very bad at that. I am a Netflix junkie, and I also read.
No, same here. Netflix binging.
Vedika, I just want to interrupt. Anupama ma'am, you've not mentioned that you're also the admin of the senior school moms. You must mention what is it that the group is about. So these children would be very interested to know how it will eventually impact them.
This is actually, it takes a lot. I mean, initially it would take a long time of the day. Now it's started to grow organically, but once in a while I have to come back and, whip, throw a whip post there. But senior school moms started as an exercise when my son finished his class 12th and he got his IIT rank. We didn't know what to do. See, a rank, how do you play with that rank to get the maximum benefit of it? So we were wondering, the common wisdom told us to take path A, but our inherent opinion told us to take path B, but we were not convinced. So luckily we had enough experts whose brain we could eat for hours, and then he took path B, the road less traveled, but that has worked out by God's grace for him. That got me thinking that, we were lucky, but not everybody is as lucky as we are. So I started a small Facebook group. I had to literally beg people, please join. This is, there's nothing, no commercials involved here. It's a completely a non-promotional forum where moms as members have this say in their children's education. There are the constant posts that happen asking about their children, that what are the things that they like, and what are their favorite subjects, what should be their school choices, what should be the boards that they should study, what should be the colleges that they should be looking for, and how do they do the profile building. What is profile building? When you start applying for universities, I mean, there are only X seats, and there are usually X to the power of 10 who are applying. So what makes you that, special candidate so that they can select you? And we do a lot of stuff like that. So the moms are very, very talented. They give all the information. It is there at the click of a button. Especially in the pandemic, it has been very helpful for class 10th and class 12th moms, because every day there would new thing would come. Some exam has been cancelled in the middle of the session. The parents don't know what to do, or some normalization. I mean, how would be the marks given later, and what colleges with those marks. So it has been a great, Usha, even for Sampada, it has been such a great source of support for me, in the sense I never realized, that what I worked very hard for is become such a support system for many. We also have anonymous posts where moms, they don't want to share directly on their on the group, so they'll send me. I know so many stories of so many moms who have trusted with their darkest secrets and told me that, I posted on their behalf so that moms can help. Yeah, how does it help you? Like tomorrow, when you go into senior classes, it'll help you to choose the correct group for you based on your aptitude, and choose correct college for you, correct area, because it's not just Hyderabad. Entire world is your oyster, so you can go wherever you want depending on your aptitude, your marks, and your family's wishes and background. But that also takes a while. That takes about an hour a day. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure.
What message would you like to give aspiring writers?
Read, read, read. And the famous dialogue, entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. There are only one rule. 3 times I'll say read, 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 and improve your vocabulary. Learn to express yourself in better words. Edit, edit, edit. Not many people will emphasize on this. They'll say read and write and share. No, the most important thing is edit. And remember punctuation. Lot of people, it's very, very appalling, but people don't know the difference between its and it apostrophe s, and they send in pieces with bloopers like this. It is very, very saddening. So learn punctuation. So that's the best way to become a writer.
Ma'am, how much time does it take for you to finish one book? And can you explain how do you publish the books?
Writing is the shortest part of the whole story. You can get it out. The first draft typically should be, it takes me about 4 months, 3 months max. Then the cycle starts, the back and forth. Then you send the manuscript across. The editor takes about 1 month, then comes back with the suggestion. Then you rework. This is what the editing counts, because he's cutting the fat out of the whole thing. So making it a lean machine. So how do you trim the fat? Because you are so invested in your work, you don't want to part with any words. You feel this is necessary, but you have to have the faith in the editor and say whatever, which is looking at it with a fresh eye. You are so emotionally attached to your writing, you say, I don't want to part with any words. These are very essential. But she will tell you, no, this is not good for the work. Then you chop a lot of stuff and send it back. This exercise happens, if you're lucky, 3 times. If you're very unlucky, there is a friend of mine who's published a book. She did it for 13 times. And then the book came out. So this exercise takes about a year. This is, I'm talking about traditional publishing houses which do the book format. Ebook is much faster. Because you have the you must use a lot of editing software to help out. The editors will use, of course. Once it is done, it is put in a proper PDF format and uploaded. So Kindle version is the fastest way. It takes much shorter, and also depends on the publisher's perspective. How fast is he? What's the timeline is he looking at for making the ideation to a reality? What is the time frame for that entire operation? So based on that, a lot of midnight oil has to be burnt, but otherwise sometimes it's easy peasy.
Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure.
So, ma'am, before you became an author, what other professions did you consider taking?
I made lots of sambar and rasam. No, I'm just joking. There was a long period when I was just vegetating because I was busy with my children. Because I was vegetating, I was frustrated. Because I was frustrated, I was a complaint box. But before that, since I told you I'm a computer science graduate, so for a long time, I ran a software company along with my husband. We also did, apart from making software for opticians, we also did Jataka tales, Panchatantra, Hitopadesha. These tales we animated. So I was overseeing a team of animators. Yeah, this is the work that I did. This is an offshoot of my study.
Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure.
I have a question for you. One child wants to know if you ever did coding.
Yes. Surprisingly, yes. Quite a lot. Yeah. I did. And I taught maths also, by the way. I'm very good at maths.
Shreya Vedika, do you have more questions or should I fire a few? Because there are quite...
You can ask.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
The one child wants to know, how do I find time to write? There are so many other things to do. A very genuine question. I would also like to know the answer to this.
First, if you want to see Netflix, will you not take out an hour for it? If you love to play, will you not take an hour for it? If you love writing, you'll take an hour for it.
So basically, it's planning.
You have to believe that it is equally important, and you have to make sure the family knows that this is so important, and you have to lay down the rule that, look, I am writing and I do not need any disturbances, nor will I allow this task of mine considered any less. I am writing, period. Respect it, draw the boundaries. If you love it, you take out the time, and you need to value that need of yours to write and respect and draw the boundaries.
Wonderful.
And as I said earlier, when you're doing something, that is the most important task of the time. So yeah, rest of the world can go and shake itself like the earth shook yesterday.
One very important, very interesting question one child has asked is, do you often add yourself to your stories?
That's a goodness, these kids are so awesome, I can't tell you. Even the adults haven't asked me such probing and incisive questions. Usha, you have such a terrific next generation to look after. Kudos to you all. They're brilliant. Let me digress a little bit here. My family has 3 males: my father, my husband, my son. None of them have read the book, but they have peddled it around saying that my son said it is my autobiography and it is my coming of age book. My husband says it is about us too. So everybody, put their this thing. My father said it is about her childhood in a South Indian family. So I have known people say that in the first edition, whether you like it or not, a bit of the author always seeps in, consciously or unconsciously. By the time it is the turn of the second or third book, you will learn to disassociate yourself from the work. So you will put in a lot of uh, external elements. You learn to cut your real self from the book. So as I became more mature in my writing, so you typically write in first person, present tense. First person due to laziness. I don't want to select any names, because if I select, I don't know which religion will find which fault. So it is safer to write in first person. So, and I write in simple tense, because simple present tense, because that's the hardest to avoid mistakes. So I try and attempt so that there are zero errors. So I've written about I being a gay man, I being a murderer, I being something. So I have got so many pieces of advice of how I should behave. So that is a pitfall, but it is just a story. I'm not writing. It's a protagonist who's doing, but people tend to get carried away, and you get lots of unsolicited personal advice about maintaining domestic harmony, vagera vagera.
Thank you. Another interesting question that has come in is, there are two interesting questions. One is, who inspired you to start writing? And second, do you want to become famous?
Oh yeah. Yeah, being famous is every writer's dream. I mean, but God knows what destiny has. That is the ultimate aim. Uh, I'm being very honest here, but most will tell you, no, I do it for the writing or the sheer pleasure of writing and all. It's all bunkum. All of us want to be very famous. People will buy our books by the droves. That is the brutal, honest reply. Who inspired me to write? So many, so many. As I said, I mean, there was never any honest this thing as I'm going to write, I'm going to this thing. It just from Facebook post to flash fiction to blog to short story to novel. So it went on like that. Now I just read peers and greats and try to learn from them. So there are many people who I feel influence what I write.
Okay, wonderful. I have one more question for you. What is the hardest part while writing a book?
Disassociating from it when you are editing. Writing is the easy part. Then looking at it as the third eye, third unprejudiced, unjaundiced eye, and critiquing it with a critical eye. That is the hardest part, because you become emotionally invested into it. You shouldn't. You should look at it like when you write a piece, you should also edit it like a reader. Whether you make sense to any reader. That is the most difficult part.
Well said. One last question, if I may. What do you do when you don't get any ideas?
It happens so many times. You bang your head. Then I cook. Then I Netflix binge. Then I go for a walk. Then I play the music very loudly. Then I start writing haltingly. The first piece is rubbish. I try not to be hard on myself, and I rewrite more pieces. Eventually, the rhythm will come back.
Okay, so don't allow the writer's block to block you. Is the advice, right?
Absolutely. And don't think that you've been afflicted with some serious pandemic. Everybody goes through it, but don't get as you said, get blocked by it and give up on writing.
Wonderful. Now comes the rapid fire.
Yes.
First one author recommendation for all these children.
Again, I'll say R.K. Lakshmi. Read Indian, write Indian. I'm not going to take any fancy outsider names. Sudhamurthy, and R.K. Narayan. Of course, there are many fancy outsider other names, but these two you must read. And
Are you writing?
Kushwant Singh.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my favorites too, all three. What is your favorite book?
My book.
Oh, your book.
Bombastic. I'm bombastic. Sorry.
Name of your first book?
My first book was Chronicles of Urban Nomads. It was an anthology, but that was the first book which I went for a book launch, and also it's very special.
Who inspired you to take up writing?
My mother, because she's my harshest critic and she writes beautifully. Yeah.
Your fitness mantra?
I'm not fit at all, but but Surya Namaskar. Surya Namaskar. Yeah.
Your favorite proverb? Or quote?
Quote. Okay. The woods were dark and deep, and I have miles to go before I sleep, and I have miles to go before I sleep. And another simple line, I took the road not taken, and that's made all the difference.
Okay, this was a question it was a burning question that one child asked, and I would also like to know the answer to this question. Are comics good for us to read?
Yes. Asterisks. Read asterisks, because you will understand the brilliant wordplay. And also it is, the comics also gives you the way the popular culture works. In fact, Usha, Miranda House General Elective English is doing an entire course on comic books, asterisks, and they're reading Tintin and they're reading anime. So the way they're looking at it, it's a perspective to the prevalent culture of that times. So I think it's an excellent idea.
Great. Any last a piece of advice that you would like to share with the students?
I think the way you have asked, the way you've listened, I think you are such brilliant kids. You have indulged me, you have listened to me. You've also lobbed some, bouncers at me. So you are such brilliant kids already. You have withstood once in a lifetime situation so wonderfully. So remember how resilient you are, how smart and positive you are, though that's not the word that to be used. Being positive is a very scary thing, but take pride in how far you have come, and also keep in mind how far you need to go. Never lose focus. Sky is yours if you just are at it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anupama ma'am. Shreya and Vedika, do you want to say something to Anupama ma'am before we close for the day?
Ma'am, just to thank you for taking out time to come here and inspire all of us.
Thank you, dear Vedika. Thank you for handling the situation so well.
Love the way you answered our questions.
Yes, ma'am. We really enjoyed it.
I hope so, my dear. I also enjoyed thoroughly interacting with such bright young women and young boys. It is very churning and invigorating for me as well. I cannot thank you enough, Usha. This session came at the very right moment. Yesterday was a very not a happy day. I was feeling uneasy with the way things were unschooling. And this has been a fresh shot of oxygen for me. I cannot thank you enough for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity you've given me. God bless you all.
Thank you so much for taking out the time, being here, talking to our children, and answering each and every question that they had to. They have so many more questions. I will take screenshots, send them to you, and once you give the reply, I'll share it with my.
It will be my pleasure entirely.
Thank you. And we hope to have you soon again.
It's my privilege, and call me. I'll be there anytime.
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Namaste.
Namaste.